Hello and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World. My name is Oliver Green, and today we are going to be discussing the top 5 free things you can do at Walt Disney World. These are 100% free. We all know a Disney vacation is very expensive, but these things won't even cost you a cent. So today I am joined by the one, the only Miss Steve Porter. There she is.
Hey guys.
How are you, Steve?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited about this topic. So it was surprisingly easy to come up with a list, I thought. What did you think?
Yeah, and I think we have some really good things. Some of these things are some of my favorite things. The number one thing is probably my favorite thing to do at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I've just had a quick look at the list. So just putting it out there, this list isn't in any particular order. These are just 5 things. Number 1 is Steve's favourite, and I'm going to put it out there. It's probably my favourite too as well. So we will save the best for last, but they're in no particular order. So we're going to jump in there, and we will start with number 5. Steve, do you want to take us away and let everyone know what number 5 is?
Yes, number 5. You can meet Cinderella at the Grand Floridian for the Princess Promenade. I think it's at 3 o'clock or 3:30. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Cinderella and Prince Charming come down the stairs of the Grand Floridian, and they just do this little dance, and they can kind of do. It's not really a meet and greet in that there's a long line of people taking pictures, but you do kind of be around. You're around the characters, and it's that little interaction.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the very few places that you can see a Disney character not inside a Disney park.
Yeah, so this is one of those cool things. I think they call it a magical moment. And for those of you that don't know, the Grand Floridian Resort is one of the hotels at Disney. So, of course, that will cost you absolutely nothing to visit there. And if you're there at the right time, which is 3:30, you will see the Disney princesses, which you only normally see if you have that paid ticket to go into the park. So it's pretty cool. This is one, and I think you'll see a lot of this with the list that we have. These are cool things to do if you've bought maybe if you're there for a week and you've bought a 4-day park ticket and you're like, well, what can we do on these other days? So, I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I like this one too. I will also say you might not be able to park right at the Grand Floridian. They might say, if you pull up to the Grand Floridian parking, they might say, sorry, unless you have a reservation or, unless you're not staying here, sorry, you can't come in. But what you could do is just park at the TTC at the Magic Kingdom's parking lot, and then take the monorail over, or you could, if you're at a different Disney resort, you could just take the bus to the Magic Kingdom and then take the monorail over. So it's not impossible to get to the Grand Floridian.
Yeah, of course. What I will say though is if you're planning on making a day of this, so you want to maybe get something, grab something to eat at the Grand Floridian, and then you just happen to be there at this time, they will let you in for that. If you let them know you've got reservations for the restaurants there, or if you're visiting the quick service, or if you're going to grab a drink at the bar. If they have the capacity in the parking lot at that time, they will let you park there, but they don't want you to abuse the system. So make sure you are doing one of those things if you're going to try and time it around that. So.
Yeah, if you pull up and just say, oh, I'm here because I want to watch the Princess Promenade, I don't know, but I'm almost positive they're going to say, sorry that, parking is full.
Yeah.
But, you can find other ways to get there. Or like Oliver said, you can have a reservation for lunch or something like that.
Yeah, but don't lie about it because they do check, especially if you've got a magic band or the last for your last name. So, yes, be honest. So, let's move on to number 4. This was something that I'd seen happen.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that this existed. So, I'm glad that you shared this fact with me.
I stumbled across it by accident. So, number 4 is the drawing class at Disney's Art of Animation Resort. So, for those of you that visited Hollywood Studios, the animation courtyard, just a few years ago before it became everything Star Wars, you may have took part in a drawing class. Now these looked like they disappeared when that happened. They looked like they just disappeared off the face of the earth. They didn't. Some of it or something similar to it actually remained, and you can find that over at the Art of Animation. They will still do some drawing classes. They're not necessarily geared towards adults like the other ones were, or geared towards families. These ones are geared more towards children, and they will prioritize children if you wanted to take part in them. But they are open to everyone still. They will accommodate you if they can. So
they just, to give people some more information on it, they are Monday to Tuesdays at 11, 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. So when you told me this, I thought this was kind of an ancient part of Disney history at this point. I didn't know that there was any part of this left. So I was glad to hear that they are still doing it.
And
So-
it is nice because I know so many people that did those drawing classes originally enjoyed them so much. So again, it might not be the exact thing you're expecting, but it's in the same vein. It's very similar to the drawing classes that you could get back in the day at Hollywood Studios. So yeah, it is nice. It's cool that they still offer something like that. So okay, looking at number 3. So this one feels a bit broad, but I'll tell you why I think it deserves a place on the list. And this is, you can visit the animals at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. So you don't have to go in the park to see the animals.
Yep.
So like Steve was saying earlier, this is the same principle. If you just drive up and say, hey, I'm here to see the animals, they're probably going to ask you to park somewhere else and get the bus in. But if you're going to try and tie this in with something else, you'll be good. So
Yep.
What kind of animals do you know, Steve?
So yeah, they have giraffes, ostriches, water bucks, cranes, geese, pelicans, zebras. So there's a lot of animals, and a lot of them are behind the pools. So like if you think of the resort, kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it kind of encloses in on the pool is on the middle, and then on the back end is where all the animals are, where the safaris are. So yeah, you just kind of, go back past that little pool area, and there's kind of little paths, and there's actually little spots where you can find like binoculars and look and see animals that are far away. So it is kind of, if maybe you're here for 4 days, but only have a 3-day park hopper or base ticket, and you don't have time to go to Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
But your kids maybe want to still see the animals. This would be a good opportunity to do that. So
definitely. And they, I've actually been there at times when they've put an animal keeper there that has quite a lot of knowledge about the animals. So they're more than happy to talk to you about it, and it just adds a bit more to the experience. It doesn't, even though these are. Excuse me, that was my telephone. I apologize. Even though these are free experiences, it doesn't feel cheap. It has that same Disney feel to it. It feels, it feels like a something you should pay for, and technically you should because it is for the guests at the resort. So, but it is still free, and they will let you go and look at the animals if you wanted to.
If you're just getting into the resort and lying to get in, then that's not okay. But if you're there for a dining reservation, or you're there because you have family, maybe you're staying at a different resort, but you have family staying there, or you have, there's lots of reasons why you could go there and it not be against the rules. And this is just a free opportunity for you to take advantage of. Yeah.
I think actually at Animal Kingdom Lodge as well, that is kind of one of the resorts that if you just say, hey, we've heard a lot about the resort, we just want to look around a little bit, they will accommodate you if the parking is available. They're quite good over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. It will vary from resort. But
it is one of the resorts where I think, like you said, they're a little bit more accommodating just because it's not one that people can really take advantage of to get better parking So you'll see this that at the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian or the Contemporary, and even Wilderness Lodge, sometimes they're a little bit more strict with parking rules because they know people are trying to use that to get in to have closer parking or free parking, which is not acceptable and not, that's against Disney policy, I'm sure. But, it's just Animal Kingdom, it's a little bit more flexible just because, no one's really using that because it's not going to get them any better parking, than if they just drive up to Animal Kingdom or something.
Yeah, there's no benefit for them. So, so that's good, really. So, should we move on to number 2?
Sure.
This is one of my favorites. I used to see this a lot back in the days when I was a lifeguard at the Grand Floridian. But you can actually watch the electrical water pageant on the, it's just gone out of my head, Seven Seas Lagoon.
Yep.
And you can see, it's very similar to the electrical light parade, but it takes place on the water. And this is just a pageant that will go around, and it's set to some very, I don't want to say tacky, but it's set to some...
That's retro, I guess. I don't know.
Let's say retro music. It's set to some retro MIDI kind of music. So it's pretty cool. They've been doing this since 1971. I'm 90% sure of that. They've been doing it since 1971.
I can double check, but I'm 100% sure too.
Yeah, and this is just it's just a parade that goes on the water. It's nice. They have different animals, have different like floats that go along. You can see this from pretty much anywhere that views Seven Seas Lagoon. So if you're staying at the Contemporary, you'll be able to see it. Maybe not as well as you would do if you were at the Polynesian, for example, or the Grand Floridian, because it goes right past the shorelines that they have there. And you can also see it from the front of Magic Kingdom too if you're exiting at the right time. I will say if you did want to catch this, it's nice to incorporate this in an evening. I'd say if you're going to walk from, say, the Polynesian Resort to the Grand Floridian and then maybe ride the monorail around back to the car, it's nice to catch it then. It just feels like it's a little, add-on. So.
To give a little history, it started October 25th, 1971. So it was the first year, and the first month, actually, of Walt Disney World being open, just a couple days after it opened.
Yeah. I feel like we're confident in saying it opened with the park then. If it's within a month of opening, I'm going to say it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel like this was probably something that was scheduled to open with the, you know what I mean? But like one of the lights wasn't working or something.
And it's like the old Christmas lights where, well, one's gone out, they've all gone now. So they were just going around checking each individual light.
But yeah, so there's 14 floats with different lights on all the there's a sea creature float, there's an American flag, and they all kind of change too. So
they do.
It is, I don't know, it's just it is a fun, I feel like it's a true classic Walt Disney World thing. I like old Disney stuff, whether it's old Disneyland stuff or old Walt Disney World stuff, and this is like one of those classic Disney things. So
it really is, and for me, it's something that it's put there because people just catch it. No one really plans to see it, to be honest. They just kind of catch it, and it's just that nice little magical moment to your vacation that you probably weren't expecting. So they do a good job with it too. You've got to remember, when I was, lifeguarding at the Grand Floridian, I got to see it a lot of nights, and I always enjoyed it. Even after, time after time, I always really enjoyed seeing the water pageant. So, if you're over that way, check it out. Don't necessarily make a special trip out there, but I don't know, if you've spent the day at the Grand Floridian looking for the princesses and you walk on over to the Polynesian and maybe go back for a drink, just stay a bit longer and check out the water pageant.
Well, and we have kind of a good transition because the next thing,
and it's your favorite. I'm going to let you take it away.
This is my favorite thing, is watching the fireworks from one of the resorts on the Seven Seas Lagoon. Particularly for me, the Polynesian's beach is my favorite place to watch the fireworks. They play the music for the Wishes fireworks there.
Yeah.
And it's just the far back look, and you see the reflection on the Seven Seas Lagoon of the fireworks. It's just the perfect spot, and I don't love crowds. So, you're not really fighting people on Main Street for shoulder room kind of a thing. And it's just, it's my favorite place to watch the fireworks, and it's free. This whole thing is about. But, I don't know. I love it.
It's awesome. I absolutely love that. I used to do that an awful lot when I first moved down here whilst I was still looking for work. So obviously I couldn't spend too much money. Mm-hmm. The pennies were tight. But no, I used to go and watch the fireworks from the beach all the time just because they go the extra mile, They're aware that people are going to stand there and view them, so they put the music on, which is just a nice touch. I've actually got a tip for this as well. So you can do this all year round. If you're coming at a time of year where they're going to be doing speciality fireworks, definitely watch them from there because it means you can catch them more than once. So if you're going to go to, I don't know, like a Mickey's Not So Scary or a Christmas party, you can come out after you've done your party and rewatch the fireworks another night when they're doing it. And they'll have, of course, the party music. And it also gives you this great view of the 360-degree fireworks they do around the park because you're so far back. Again, if you're going to go, though, make sure you go on a clear night. I went in times in October when it was a bit more misty, and you missed the fireworks completely because you just see flashes above the cloud.
That is the one downside is if it's you're right. If it's a little foggy, you're basically just watching flashes of light. But the other one, just to mention quickly, or not to the other one, but just to mention quickly more about that is I was there one night when my brother came to visit me, and we just went to Epcot for the day. Yep. And I love Illuminations, but I particularly love Wishes. Yeah. It's just my favorite. Wishes is probably one of my favorite things about Walt Disney World. And so we did this. We just went over, and, it was one of those things where we wouldn't have been able to see these fireworks, if it weren't for this opportunity to watch them from the beach. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things, too, where I have, memories attached to it, too. So
yeah. No, it's nice. I like it a lot. I took a lot of family there whenever they've come down to just show them, because it's almost like even though a lot of people know about it, it still feels like your little secret.
Yeah.
You know, because again, one of the things you can do at the Polynesian, this isn't free anymore. I suppose technically we're getting into other territory, but you can get the Dole Whip there at the Dole Whip stand, and you can stand on the beach and enjoy your free fireworks with your Dole Whip, and I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I think that just about covers it for the list. Is there anything else you've got at all,
That's
Steve?
all I can think of.
No? Okay, cool. So they were our top 5 100% free things to do at the Walt Disney World Resort. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd encourage you to check out our top 5 money-saving tips, where we have some absolutely outstandingly good tips for you to save I would say a substantial amount of money at Walt Disney World. So I'll put that in the notes just below that you'll see down here on YouTube, and you can find that show just there. But no, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Steve. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World.